All right, and welcome to our first round here of the Modern Super League week number 2. We have none other than Nathan Steuer up against Carmen here. And kicking it off, we got Carmen starting it off. And am I seeing this correct? What do we got going on here, Simon, for Nathan?
A little grief scam, right answer one. So yeah, this is gonna be incredibly important against Carmen's hand because she did keep a pretty land heavy one because it had Shardless Agent, and that's gonna get stripped right away, right out of the hand there.
Yeah, take the Shardless Agent, and now Carmen will have the option to cycle away the Generous Ent or the Curator of Mysteries, but no matter what, Nathan's going to be able to get the 2 items. So going to get that full scam value, then it'll just be up to Carmen to find a Living End or something in time, before grief goes all the way. And Simon, don't you just love the whole grief scam thing? Isn't it just your favorite?
I consider playing Scam for the Pro Tour. I mean, I actually think it's a really cool thing. I mean, at some point I think we will get sick of it. Maybe a lot of people have already gotten sick of it, but yeah, not right now. I'm kind of interesting that Carmen decided not to cycle the Curator. It's definitely an interesting decision that I'm not really sure where the arguments are on either side. If there is a land on top, it's kind of not great to not get that one card for as deep, but then on the other hand you're going to shuffle anyway, so all these arguments are kind of weird.
Yep, it is kind of the same, so it doesn't really matter too much. So we see the grief in there, and then follow-up stuff for Nathan still has a Thoughtseize to maybe take another future card. It's kind of awkward when you time it, because now at this point Carmen is just really looking for the top of the deck to treat her right.
Yeah, this is basically just going to be can Carmen top deck a Cascade spell before she dies?
Yep.
Exactly. And of course, having a deck full of cycling cards helps, but the August Bowmaster is going to be an actual threat against a deck full of cyclers.
Yeah, so is that why you just always kind of cycle right away here before there's a chance for Nathan to go land 2, or yeah. Well, we'll see if Nathan goes for it here.
Yeah, so do the Thoughtseize here. It's definitely interesting to do the more pressure play of Orchid Bowmaster. You can also dash Ragavan and Thoughtseize, or you can just cast the Ragavan for one and then Thoughtseize.
Yeah, it's tempting either way. I can totally see any of the plays here from Nathan. We know with perfect information what the correct play would be here. And of course, Nathan does as
and
well.
He goes for it. Yeah, just not giving her any breathing space.
Yeah, that was impressive. Now Carmen is left to find another one, and that's already 2 out of the 8 gone. I assume we only have the 8 ways, the Violent Outburst and the Shardless Agents, to be able to find. So now we got probably 2 turns here to find it at most.
Maybe even just 1 turn almost. It's pretty close.
Yeah, because 6 down to 10, another 6, 4 damage. It looks like there'll be 2, but
yeah.
But still,
I wonder if you can do something with if you play Fable now, the next turn you can put Not Dead After All on your Ragavan and then kill it. It doesn't quite work because you can't kill it again to deal you 1 extra point.
Yeah.
But we're we're probably pretty close to some lethal here. The Bowmaster will mean that you can put Carmen to 1, so she can't fetch, which definitely can matter. So she can't go cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see a bunch of lightning bolts in Nathan's deck or anything, so there's not that way to kind of go for the reach kill. So that does still, put it in the sense that if Carmen draws Outburst or Shardless Agent, she still should probably be okay. Generous Ent coming along to produce a treasure, as well as Architects of Will to do some manipulation on Nathan's deck. Should still be enough, but yeah, as we're saying, it's got to happen fast.
We also have to remember that, Nathan doesn't just immediately die if there's a Cascade spell on top. And so he might consider, if he does the leaving up Bowmaster and Not Dead After All, he can actually make the grief come back once more. And maybe he can beat the cohort coming from Carmen's graveyard here.
Yeah, that would still be quite impressive since 5 creatures are still coming back. But yeah, definitely not impossible.
Yeah, but you're playing. Okay, so playing the Bowmaster now makes sense. This way, you make sure that if she cycles into something, she will take extra damage, and you're still again keeping up the Not Dead After All. There's a grief. That is a complete break.
Looks like Carmen might be dead after all.
Yeah, wow. I mean...
Thank you, y'all. I'll be here all day, okay?
All day, yeah.
Yeah, because now...
And the worst part is, like, you know, you're not gonna, like, you know, get to win many matches, so you're gonna have to cast more of them. Like, it's just horrible.
I mean, you know, normally I would say, shut up, Simon, I'm gonna take you down, but I don't know if anyone remembers Tron versus Storm back in, what, like 2002 or something? It wasn't necessarily a great matchup for Tron, but you know what? We'll let the next match dictate that.
All right, so that grief getting put in the graveyard here, and yeah, now this means that, like, even if Carmen does top deck a Violent Outburst, this Not Dead After All and the August Bowmaster will finish off the game.
Yeah, and
probably.
Any of the...
Oh, maybe not actually, because of Generous End, if the timing is done correctly. But yeah. No bueno there.
No bueno indeed. Yeah, there was exactly one different play that Carmen could have went for, and it's a play that, I don't know, you should really never do. And that was basically just let Architect's Will rot in hand and never cycle it, and then she would have top decked Shardless Agent. Easy.
Oh, true. Yeah. You're right. I actually had the winning line right there.
Yeah, but of course, that is so result-oriented thinking that it is never correct to do so. It's just a little bad luck with how it ended up playing out here for Carmen.
Yeah, for sure. So what happens
talking about sideboarding here, Simon, Living End doesn't usually change a ton of cards, but as I say that, Carmen is looking like we have 8 cards coming in. What do you like or dislike from each of these players?
Yeah, so let's see. I do really like the endurances coming from the Living End side. Because like the body is just like kind of nice against Rakdos, and you really want to, like, you know, one plan you can say from the Living End side is just to, like, you know, board a bunch of creatures and you just this, like, you know, weird mid-rangey deck. Because the issue is that the scam deck, because of Dorothy Voidwalker, has, like, you know, is really well situated against Living End. If you always just leave up the Voidwalker, you can, like, respond to the Living End by sacrificing it. It comes back, exiles the Living End, and then you can, like, cast the Living End again, swooping the graveyard right back, and still end up with a Voidwalker in play. So it's like that interaction means that, that interaction means that, like, Living End cannot really play its normal game. But on the other hand, Rakdos Scam is really weak to, like, you know, Curator of Mysteries and Endurance. It does seem like Carmen is instead opting for a plan. I actually can't see what she got to bring in here. But a plan that
it looks like really she's separating it out to the right of those Waker of Waves, so we're a little off camera from seeing exactly.
One thing I want to point out about Nate's sideboarding here, of course, he's bringing in, you know, 2 Hearse, 2 Spellbomb, the 1 Chalice he has access to. And he also, like, left in 1 Blood Moon, which is interesting because, like, it's not that good necessarily against Living End, but it does like really restrict them in playing this fair game of Endurance and Curator of Mysteries.
Yeah, exactly that. And it seemed like better than a Terminate. It looks like that's what Nathan was going back and forth from. And as we see it, Nathan Steuer has the Blood Moon in hand, but the rest of the hand doesn't exactly look keepable, though, Simon.
It's a Fury Scam, though. It's a turn 1 Fury with a Voltai's backup. I think you keep this.
Point. Yeah, I guess that Blood Moon is doing its best job.
And you have Voltai, which is your best card in the matchup. Though so you gotta pitch the Blood Moon, and then you have, like, you know, 2 hate pieces out of Voltai's. Oh, but this grief here.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. I mean, I think step 1, Carmen, if she could pick any card, take that Swamp out of there, get that going, but...
Oh, she cycled turn 1 into the grief on top. That is massive.
That is massive.
That is actually pretty heads up to, like, make sure to main phase cycle that Curator.
Oh, definitely. Give you a chance to grief right away so you don't get scammed. I love the play. Yeah. Now, what do you take, Simon? You just take Fury,
that's a really good question, because this hand is, like, all bangers. She decides to take away the Hearse, which is, like, the most immediately, like, you know, like, threatening piece.
Yeah.
And, like, the Voidwalker, if it comes down turn 2, that's going to be too slow to deal with this, like, you know, turn 2 Wake Off Waves into turn 3 Shotless. So, but the Hearse would actually be fast enough to work.
Yep, totally agree with you here. And as it stands, we're going to see Nathan go with the Fury Scam here to get 8 points of damage in. And then, you know, even if this Thoughtseize next turn can target Carmen, it'll definitely put a lot of weight to see if Carmen has land 3. Because if you have land 3, you can just be like, okay, no problem. Let a Thoughtseize resolve, Waker of Waves, and hopefully find another one.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting here. Because I actually wonder if, like, Carmen was supposed to, like, have taken the Thoughtseize for this reason and then got super punished by, you know, Nate's draw step here. But yeah, so it seems like we're in, once again in this like, bind of like, Carmen is gonna lose her her shardless agent and needs to just find another one before she dies. Of course, here the pressure is quite a bit better.
And now it's interesting if if Nathan does go for the Thoughtseize, if you want to just Waker of Waves, or if you just want to double land cycle, make sure you have the land to find it. All these little minor things, a lot of living end players are going to have kind of down. This is not necessarily always the deck that I love to play, though. What about you? Were you a living end gamer?
I haven't actually played it much, but I quite like it. I mean, it's like really cool. Yeah. I just like cool decks. I don't like boring decks, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell by your deck submission of Storm, which we're going to see a little bit later.
I guess that does count as cool, huh?
That's pretty cool, yeah. I like that. All right, so we see the Thoughtseize here pointed at Carmen. Looks like she just said, yep, no problem, it resolves. Now giving Nathan the choice.
If she had another blue card, I guess she also bought it out in the Forces of Negation, but if she had another blue, she might have wanted to like Wake of Waves in response. But that's just not really a thing in like this, context of the game.
Yeah, you never really want to have cards like Force of Negation or really any forces against the Thoughtseize deck. 2-for-1ing yourself naturally is kind of playing into the game plan of this Rakdos horizontal land Evoke deck, as we have it labeled there in the name.
Okay. Oh my the Wake Up Waves hits Breeding Pool, and then we just immediately something violent outburst. No issue whatsoever. Sent Nathan back to the Stone Ages. Had him back to preschool. Like this is just perfect.
She had it the whole time, y'all.
Had it the whole time. Third from the top. Like that. The entire game. It's been right in that spot. Nate should have known. I'm sorry. I mean, are you the world champ or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's pretty much gonna do it, right? Like, I don't think there's a single chance that Nathan can come back from that.
and Nate definitely agrees with that. He gets the wicked token trigger, and yeah, then he's out of here.
I'll be excited to hear from those two chatting about that top deck in the booth for the next round. While you're casting Gifts Ungiven and tanking for an hour, we'll have them break down that game. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. I'll make sure to gift them some pausing room while I'm breaking my wrist to click through grape shots. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I can't wait till you go grape shot storm me and just forget I played the ring. Like, it's gonna be glorious.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome, buddy. I figured I'd give you a chance here, a little head start. So feel free to return the favor if you don't draw Past in Flames or something like that. Okay, buddy.
Okay, I'll just plot them out. That's that as a trade-off for you helping me out here.
All right, appreciate
the players didn't really change anything in the sideboard configuration, and now Nate here's up with such a hateful hand. Chalice at 0 into Nihil Spellbomb, followed by Dorothy Voidwalker. Are you gonna be able to beat this, Carmen? Is what he's asking. And
yeah, this isn't exactly
might be able to with some of the if you can just hardcast some creatures because I assume this Voidwalker is gonna get lost to a grief. Maybe even there'll be a double grief here, and that leaves Nate with not much pressure. Yeah, it's gonna be a double grief with this second black card drawn for turn.
Probably, right? Or maybe you don't care about the second grief and you just fire something, right? Fire.
Yeah, true. You also have to fire eyes to kill something. So you can definitely. I also think Carmen has one copy of the blue-black filter land, which would be a very good draw to enable this grief to be played. Or enable the Architects of Will for that matter. So these are the types of games where you can really see the advantage of having a more mid-rangey plan with the living end deck, more creature heavy, because you can actually battle through these hate heavy draws. The scam deck even though it is kind of in a mid-range space, it isn't really a mid-range thing. It doesn't have great top decks. It has a lot of bricks. So once you can weather the early storm, you're often in a much better position to try and play a slugfest game against them.
Definitely. But Modern is also one of these, one of the formats where these sideboard hate cards are so impactful that these Chalice and Nihil Spellbombs are just going to be so difficult for Carmen to get through to enact the normal game plan. So I'm with you. I want to start looking to be like, yeah, if I see 2 hate pieces that stop me from cascading and bringing back any creatures, well, let me introduce you to a 4-mana 4/4. Your turn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so good. Okay, so she does like decide to not use the grief here, instead opting to like try and fire the Dorothy Voidwalker instead.
Yeah, I love that, and I like griefing away the flash threat so Nathan can't make this turn as awkward as possible for her. Now we're just gonna see Dorothy. You know, Carmen's gonna be able to mountain cycle and then just kill that Dorothy immediately next turn. I like that play. Once you allow Bowmaster to go, more than likely it's still gonna end the exact same way. But Nathan could draw something that would make him not want to cast it and add for some bit of annoyance.
Yeah, I definitely think this like is a way for you to like utilize your hand better. It's also like something worth noting is that like you might think that like Nate was supposed to like board out his sort of terminates. He definitely like shave some of them, but they're actually pretty good at like supporting your hate pieces because like they kind of like stop the other half of the living end deck.
And I think it was a little bit of a product of, yeah, if Nathan had 2 more chalices, Blood Moon and Terminate probably wouldn't be in the deck, So it's a product of you have to leave in some cards against Living End. And, I've had this problem with playing Breach, with playing basically any other deck, sideboarding against a deck like Living End, where you just have a ton of inherently bad cards or at least really weak cards. You just can't take everything out, kind of similar against Tron, where you're specifically trying to deal with one type of a game plan.
Oh, interesting. So instead, like now she just remember, instead of using fire on the Void Walker, she decides to hold on to the fire ice, probably so that she can she can cycle the ice and like try and dig towards something. Or alternatively, when she gets to 5 mana, she can ice the Nihil Spellbomb. I mean, she also needs to get rid of the Chalice in the first place.
Chalice, yeah.
But yeah, so there's like multiple obstacles here. This Wake of Waves is going to be really nice at like well, I mean, I guess it just finds another card. It's probably just going to find a land or something. Yeah, she might even pass
more
here.
than
There's
likely.
not really a rush.
It's interesting to see if we want to do any cycling now to hit land drops or anything. Looks like Carmen's not interested, just fine playing a slow game and kind of acting at instant speed at the end of Nathan's turn for everything.
Yeah, exactly. You get a little bit more information this way. It just makes it like you're not like hungering so much to like hit your land drop next turn. I mean, the only punish is if you hit specifically the filter land and also another land. Like then, yeah, you're gonna cut yourself off from playing your grief.
Playing your grief, yeah, exactly.
By the way, we see Nate holding on to this top deck grief here. He's going to try and like hope for drawing like the 3rd land which he did hit and the 4th land to either hardcast it or draw a not dead after all to be able to scam it out.
Yep, there we go. Now,
but of course, Carmen keeping up this fire ice is like double duty because it also like means that it's harder to get grief.
Yeah. It was going to be interesting there to see if we were going to see like ice at upkeep to prevent 4 drops or maybe even 3 drops, let's say Nathan top deck Fable the Mirror Breaker or something, but going to get, relatively rewarded here by holding on to it because fire seems a lot more appealing on a Ragavan as well. The deal 2 aspect and get the treasure is not that meaningful from Scam against Living End, but the fact that in this kind of game where there's a lot of resources being given away to just prevent these hate cards, Ragavanning into something like Architects of Will might be devastating to just cast from Nathan's side.
Yeah, true. I mean, it really doesn't take much for like it's really going to be a scrappy game. I wonder actually if Carmen like yeah, exactly. I think she might value the ability to cycle so much that she'd rather just tap down the Ragavan and draw a card rather than just kill it with the ice. Because like she really does need to like find like hit her land drops and find some big boys. The end especially is like something that's going to be very important here, and she's like not that far off from casting the end as long as she like keeps the card flow going.
Yeah, that's true. And as I am looking at Carmen's list here, you're right. There is only one Sunken Ruins. There's no way to fetch out a black source. This is a teamer deck to its core. So, you need the one Sunken Ruins to cast Architects of Will or Griefs. Otherwise, yeah, the only thing you can cast is Curators, Generous Sense, and Oliphants.
So this Ragavan comes in, and now Carmen has to decide if she wants to kill it. She's still holding on to that ice. So I'm kind of interested to see like what the actual plan here is. Wow, that is a violent outburst. You want random card from the deck, Nathan? I think Nate would rather just cast the Grief here.
It's interesting though. No, I like this. I like getting the value here because you're gonna.
Wow.
Nathan doesn't have a lot of removal spells, so he's not gonna have that many dead draws like Ragavan's probably.
How about a second Ragavan? Does that count as a dead draw? Okay, that was actually like a big win for Carmen right there. Because
that was huge.
The Grief coming down would have like forced her hand on the Fire Eyes, and like I guess the rest of the cards in her hand aren't that good here. I guess Carmen's plan right now is just lay out the Shardless Agent to block the Ragavan while still keeping up Fire Eyes.
Yeah. Talk about getting scammed there with that Ragavan.
Ooh, the second Grief here allows the Grief to be cast. Taking away, I mean, either the Grief or the Terminate here. I think. Oh, she's not going to do it because she might be holding off of that. Oh, okay.
One of Sunken Ruins. Yeah, I'm with you. It's so tough to count on a one of. And I mean, there's no other ways to make treasures or anything. That Sunken Ruins is trying to do some heavy lifting. That's for sure.
Yeah, because the issue is if you Grief now, your Shardless Agent will just get terminated. But she's just not doing it yet. I wonder what she's holding it for. There might be a plan. There very easily could be a plan.
Yeah.
The issue is like, she has the cool setup that I talked about earlier with the like ice plus like Violent Outburst against Dyna Spellbomb, but it doesn't really work because of this Chalice, right? So it's like I wonder if like that's what she's trying to hold up, like
I feel like you just have to find
some way to answer the Chalice and then go like Grief, make sure the coast is clear, and then like fire off the Living End.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if you have one way to deal with it, it's reasonable. I mean, the one card that Carmen does have is Force of Vigor. There is 2 of that in her sideboard, and that is one way to deal with both of those cards.
Oh, okay. I guess they can't cast this one because it's like 2 off colors, but
that's probably the best for Nathan, to be honest. Not getting
exactly. Don't get tempted once more. All right, so this Grief does hit, and yet now Carmen is like her hand is forced on this Fire Eyes. And I assume that Nate might even take away the Grief so that one doesn't get evoked.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. This looks like a fire. Yeah, and just saying, please don't have one of your Undying tricks. That would have been a complete nightmare.
Oh, true. Yeah. Nate could have actually had that open. That would have been.
I mean, now I think if I'm Nathan, I mean, it's tough. Yeah, I was considering.
Yeah, I think you need to take away the Grief,
Violent Outburst,
because otherwise, like if is that a subtlety? Wow, that's actually huge here.
Yeah, that's good. Just an ambush blocker for Ragavan.
Probably just eat the Ragavan, yeah, and actually stop being a threat.
You would think Nathan would play Grief first, but no, doesn't go for it.
No, because that gets super punished by a subtlety, right? Oh, I guess not, because then you can just leave back the Ragavan. Yeah, you're right. I found that like subtlety is a very easy card to forget about. The ambush mode of it. So
very true.
Yeah,
that was kind of damned if you are, damned if you don't kind of thing. Just playing the Grief and getting its subtlety is kind of brutal, and maybe Grief is just a more impactful threat than a Ragavan at this stage of the game, especially with Carmen at 7, 3-turn clock with this Grief, and Carmen has to find a way to deal with this or another creature to be able to step in front.
Yeah, exactly. I think Carmen's best draw here is going to be Bone Crusher Giant. That would be absolutely huge. Also, I think Nate might be at a leeway where oh no. That is an awkward draw.
So tempting. I'd be like, yeah, I think you have to. You can't let that card.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, just get one.
It's second subtlety.
Oh, that's actually huge. So now you can leave back your subtlety and double block. Yeah, so like the fact that Carmen has gone through, I think, 4 Cascade spells at this point. 2 that were hit by Ragavan, and no, actually 3. Yeah, so gone through 5. Because
oh, look at this blowout about to happen.
Oh no, the Grief from the top. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's like, there's at least something that resembles stabilization. Not really, because this Grief is going to come down next turn, still be a threat, but like, we might have time to like draw, land into like End or something like this. But yeah, I think maybe Nate at some point, like right now he doesn't feel desperate, but he might be able to like crack the spell bomb because so many of Carmen's Cascade spells are gone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, is like if Carmen has Grief in hand, plays something else, maybe even land 6, something like that, then popping a spell bomb seems pretty safe because Carmen's going to have to top deck Foundation Breaker or Force of Vigor into Cascade Spell to actually turn it on. But I could also see just Nathan being ultra conservative and just never giving Carmen a chance to cast Living End, because that is really the only way that I really see Nathan losing this game.
Ooh. Oh, that's so awkward. That's the wrong order. You wanted to draw the
land.
Yeah, you know there's a grief coming right now, so I think you're just forced to cycle this Generous End and find a shock land.
Are. And it is just a forest cycle, so I mean you can't get any specialty lands like the One of Ottawa or anything like that. I think there's
only like one breeding pool left for it to get.
Yes, one stomping ground, one. Yeah, there's just one more breeding pool. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to to see it in the main phase, because that would allow you to top deck another Generous End.
Yeah, and you still have the ability to top deck a second Generous End.
Well,
and play it,
but you just gotta have to take some damage. Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking 2 for no reason. I would have been with you. I would have done it as well, because there's no way that Nathan's gonna not play it. It's a 2-turn clock, so I'm with you. I think that was a small misplay as well. Oh no! We can write this stuff, huh? And now all of a sudden, because of that, minor decision on Carmen's part, Carmen is now at 3 versus 5, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, and that's like, a single removal spell here. This is a very tempting spot for Nate to crack the spell bomb, because if he hits Fury, he wins the game.
Yeah, Fury
or Terminate or Bolt.
I don't think Terminate or Bolt are in the deck for what it's worth. And
there's the Fury.
Boy.
Wow.
And to be fair, if this Fury was going to be drawn anyways, even if Carmen was at 5 versus 3, I don't think she has a chance to win this match anyways. But it was still the absolute Punisher case to make the game over immediately.
I think actually it does buy time because of the food token as well. It buys another turn.
Oh yeah, that's fair too.
And
it still would have been tough
attack into Generous
Fury and Green.
So if you top decks like another creature, that's actually that would actually be enough to stabilize there.